Hi, Bonnie here with So Inspired by Bonnie with another Tuesday's tip. I'm going to get my computer set up just in case there's any questions as we go along. So I'm just making sure we have us here. There we are. And I'll get it set up again just in case we have any questions along the way. A couple of weeks ago, I had a lady that asked me, how on earth do you get rickrack to look nice on the ends? And I thought, that's an excellent question and something that we should discuss in Tuesday's tip. So that's what we'll do today. We're going to discuss how do you control rickrack so that the ends wind up looking nice and not kind of whoppy-jawed, as I like to call it, where they turn under like this and you have a tail sticking up, or they're fraying like crazy. Now this is a nylon rickrack. I got this at Hobby Lobby, and I think all of their rickrack is nylon, so these techniques will work on that, but I'll show you on cotton as well. So let's say I've just trimmed this end, and as you can see, if you play with rickrack a little bit, it starts to fray on you. So that can be challenge number one, because it has a tendency to want to come undone on you, and then it doesn't stay put, and you get these ugly little tails sticking out everywhere. Challenge number two is that just by its nature, it goes up and down because it's rickrack. So when you just go to turn it under any old place, sometimes you get a turn under like this where it just doesn't look quite right. It doesn't line up, and you kind of mess up that flow of the rickrack. Now we have some solutions for that. I love rickrack because it's been around for ages. My mother used to sew with rickrack, and gosh, that's been long time ago. But just by its nature, the way it's woven, it's a bias trim. So, and since it has been around forever, it's one of those trims that doesn't go out of style. So you can use it and it's not going to look dated 5, 10, 20 years down the road, which is really cool. So how to control the raveling. When you get to an end that is raveling like this, one of the ways I like to control it, or I should say the way I like to control it when I'm working with a nylon type or a rickrack with some nylon fibers in it, is I like to take a lighter to it. This also works with shoestrings that have nylon content. So if you have some tennis shoes out there that the ends of those shoestrings have come undone on you and started fraying, this tip works as well on those. But light the lighter, and then don't just put it under there and burn it like crazy, but just kind of come up and kiss the ends. And if it does catch, it's gonna, go out really easy, or even if you blow it, it's gonna go out. So it's really slick how that works, because what that does is that seals the ends and makes them nice and fray proof, as I like to call it, so it doesn't just fall apart on you. I mean, I can pull on this baby and it's not gonna fall on me. So that's tip number one. The other thing, when you're wanting to turn it under, now she was working on a towel and she wanted those ends on the towels to look nice. I like to leave myself at least an extra couple of inches on each end to play with, so that I can get the ends where I want them, and I kind of trim and then burn the ends so that I get to the place that I want to be. But rickrack has what I call hills and valleys. So you have a hill and a valley. It goes up and down. What you want to do when you turn it under is you want to turn it at a halfway point of a valley or a halfway point of the hill. And that way your rickrack will flow in a continuous line without, the whoppy-jawed stuff. Now, on a towel, you might come to an end where you just can't do that, or you'd have excess rickrack hanging off the end, or it didn't get all the way to the end. So sometimes on a towel, you might have where it stops at not the halfway point, but let's say, kind of like that, where it's sort of halfway between, so at the quarter point. Well, what I do in that instance is you fold it under, and then you might have to do a second tuck underneath so that your end is nice. Let's see if you can see it from that end. Now I do have excess here, so I would trim off that excess. Once I found out where the end is that I wanted, I'd say, okay, I have this excess, I can trim that off. I would finger press this down, and then I would take that and burn or singe the edge again so that it wouldn't come undone on me. But it takes a little fiddling with it, but once you've done it a few times, it's really quite easy. You just sort of need to make sure that you cut an extra couple of inches on each end so you have some rickrack to play with. Okay, so let's say we're going around a corner. How do you get those darn corners to look decent? What I like to do, I use a product called Wonder Tape. It's a Washaway Wonder Tape. It's by, let me look here. Oh, hi, Vicki. It's put out by Collins, and it's called Washaway Wonder Tape. Now, the thing I like about this double-sided tape is that if I have it in a seam or I have it, you know, under my rickrack or what have you, I can iron on top of that. It's not going to phase a thing. So it's really slick that way. And the other deal is it's wash away. So once I wash the item that I've been working on, this tape doesn't stick with it. It washes away. So you can just take a little piece and you can just easily tear it. It's no big deal. And I've already got a little bit of wash away tape here, but you're going to put it on the back side. Now, I say back side, but rickrack is two-sided. There is no right and wrong side to rickrack. So you pick a side and put it on that. And then you peel away the paper of the rickrack, or not the paper of the rickrack. You pull away the paper of the wash-away tape. And that just leaves you with the wash-away tape on the back side. And then when you come to a corner, what I like to do is I like to have the heel part of my rickrack facing out of the corners. So you're going to come along, come on up, and you might have to reposition this. You're going to come up to your corner, and you're going to have a little bit of excess in the corner itself, and that's okay because rickrack is, you know, goes really flat. And so I have a little bit, I don't know if you can see this, but I have a little bit of excess in the corner. I don't have wash away tape over here, but, and then when I have that excess, I kind of tuck that excess and I kind of fold it over, and then I'll stitch it down. And once it's stitched down, it really doesn't show hardly at all. Now, let's say that you did a corner and it came out less than stellar. That happens to all of us. So what do? Well, what I like to do is I like to embellish. So I'll take, and if it's for a little boy, I might take a little button. It works for girls too. And just put a little button on top of that corner so that it hides my little not so great corner. Another thing I like to do with buttons is I like to double them up. So here's one, oops, I dropped it. Here's one that I've already doubled up. And you see I put a little red one or a little white button on top of the red one. And something that you might not know, and I thought this was fascinating when I first learned it many, many years ago, was that all buttons, now I'm not talking about the handmade buttons, but the manufactured buttons all have the same distance between the little holes that are in the button, which I thought was really cool. Anything from a baby button on up to a big old 2-inch button is going to have the same distance between the little holes. So you can put two buttons on top of each other, and as long as you see where the little holes are, if you see those, I don't know if you can kind of see the air through those holes on those buttons, you can sew through them both at the same time. What I like to do, oops, my little button here is getting away from me, is I use glue stick. And this is ordinary glue stick, you know, Elmer's all-purpose glue. It works great. My dealer turned me on to this several years back when we were doing heirloom sewing. And she was taught this who knows when, but probably at Baby Lock Tech, I would guess, but maybe not, maybe sooner than that. But you just take a little bit of glue stick and you can put some glue on top of your button and then line up the other button, preferably with the right side up, not the wrong side up. And you can just stick the two buttons together with your glue. So that works really well. The glue stick is not, or the glue in the glue stick is not going to gum up your needle. So if you need a little touch up and hold something down, glue stick works great. I use it sometimes in the hoop projects. When I don't want to have a pin inside my hoop, I might be able to use a little glue stick and hold that little piece of fabric down to do an in the hoop project. Works great, so I hope you give it a try. Okay, so we've gone around corners, we've figured out how to do the ends, we've figured out how to keep it from fraying on us. How do you get it so that when you're on a straightaway, you get the ends? Now, I just have to show you. This is a little design I'm using from our Snow Buddies set, but I just thought he was so cute and I needed some sort of little something to go around to show you with instead of just rickrack in the air. So thought you might kind of enjoy that little snowman. So if you're coming to two ends together, maybe you're going around something or it's too long and you need to extend it and you're going down the straightaway. Again, allow yourself an extra couple of inches on either end. Don't cut right up to it or just leave yourself a 1/4 inch to turn under, because you might need to fudge and play with that a little bit, and you'll need to burn the edge so it doesn't fray on you. And you have to play with the ends. So when I come to an end and I'm wrapping around on the straightaway, again, try to stop at a halfway point of either a hill or a valley. Leave yourself a couple of inches on either end, because by the time you're done matching them up, one end might end up being an inch and the other end the full 2 inches, or you might be down to an inch on either, but whatever kind of works. If you leave yourself a little excess, you can figure it out. So here I've turned that one on a hill, and this one I turned on a halfway under point on a hill. And once you have it figured out where you want it, that wasn't quite the right spot. Once you have it figured out where you want it, then you can trim off the excess, and then you can take your lighter and kind of burn it down. But get it figured out where you want this to end, and it might be a little to the left or it might be a little to the right. But on the straightaway, you can, finish those under, turn them under, and then stitch and have your rickrack still go up and down nice and cool. Okay, so what if I'm using web? I do that same very thing, that's kind of backwards. I do that very same thing with nylon webbing. This is the stuff that we use on shoulder straps for totes and bags and all sorts of stuff. And it does the same thing. So if I were to trim this nylon webbing a little bit and play with the ends, it's going to do the same thing. It's starting to fray. You can see it's starting to fray. So I would probably get rid of, some of this fraying. And then I would take my lighter, and again, I would just sort of kiss the ends just till I see it melt. And once that end's melted, that's going to secure that end. It doesn't take much, but that's going to secure it. Now, one time I have a little story to tell you, because we all make mistakes, we all boo-boo. But I accidentally sewed my webbing into a tote bag, stitched around it, and I sewed kind of close, and I forgot to burn the end. And what happened was, after use, my webbing started working loose from my shoulder strap. It was tied to the tote bag, and now I have to redo that. So, and it's been sitting there for months and months and months waiting for me to redo because I don't like to do mending. I'd much rather sew a new project than do mending. But if you do that, you won't have that problem where it comes undone on you, because if you sew too close to this when it's not sealed, it's going to continue raveling and it's going to come undone on you, and you're going to have to fix it somehow. Now on cotton webbing, what it's going to do is, I burned a little bit of this. It's just going to continue burning, and if you blow on it, it's going to burn more because you're just flaming, adding fire or flames to the fire. So what I like to do with 100% cotton webbing that's going to just continue to burn is I like to use a product called Fray Block. Now I know a lot of people use Fray Check. I prefer Fray Block over Fray Check because Fray Block has a tendency to dry hard and it will yellow over time. Fray Block, I did say Fray Check, right? Fray Check will yellow over time and get hard. Fray Block dries soft and it doesn't yellow over time. So if you do some heirloom sewing and you don't want that white fabric to kind of yellow from being sealed with Fray Check, you might try Fray Block. And Fray Block is a product by June Taylor. So what I would do on this cotton is I would kind of saturate the end with the Fray Block, let it dry, and then use it. So just a little side tip there. I thought you might like that. Okay, I'm going to look and see if we have any questions that we didn't cover on the rickrack, and hopefully we have answered all our questions. Carmen, you said soluble before. I'm not sure what you mean by soluble before. Are you talking about the Washaway soluble, Washaway Wonder Under tape? If you are, the Washaway Wonder Under tape, I put it on it's like a pin basting. Instead of using a bunch of pins, you can use Wonder tape, and you can leave it in your project as long as you want. If you don't wash it, that's fine. It's not going to harm anything being there. But when you do wash your project, it's going to wash away. So I don't wash anything away before doing my project. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not quite positive what your question was there. Carmen was asking, what company makes the tape again? The Washaway Wonder Tape is put out by Collins. That's spelled Collins. Ask your dealer for it. I know when I worked at a dealer, we always did special orders. So if they don't carry it, chances are they'll do a special order for you. So ask them about the Wonder Tape that's a Washaway. Really like it. I'd hold it up, but it's going to be backwards since we're doing live. So I'll just let you know. It's by Collins. Oh, Linda said she loves the little snow buddies. Thank you. I thought they came out really cute. I had a lot of fun doing them. Here he is again. There's one of the little snow buddies. They're fun to make. So, I think we've got it. I think that's all the questions that we didn't cover. So I'm so glad you came, and we will be doing another Tuesday's tip next Tuesday. Again, I do them at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time. I'm just making sure that I didn't miss anybody here. So let me double check here before we sign off, because oh, it looks like there's some more that I may have missed. No, looks like we got them. If I did miss anybody on the live feed here, I do go back and I read the comments and I do answer questions. So if I've somehow missed you right now, I apologize, but I will read all the comments and I will give you my take on what I might do. There's always, I feel, more than one right way to get something done. So I'm not one of those that say this is the only way you can do it, because I think there's so many different ways, and you just have to kind of play with them and see what works best for you. because we all are a little bit different. Some of us are left-handed and some of us are right-handed, and so different things work better for just being left-handed or right-handed, let alone how we, think and process things. So, and every project is different. So what might have worked in one project might not in another. That's why I like to have options for Wonder Tape and the glue stick. And one option might work better under a certain circumstance. So play with it and don't be afraid to try, because I've said so many times that sometimes I learn more from my mistakes than I do from my successes. So don't be afraid to try. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't come out the way you anticipated. Enjoy the process. I hope you'll sign up for our newsletter. You can go to www.sewinspiredbybonnie.com, and that's SEW for Sew Inspired. If you have any questions, again, please give me a shout. I'd be more than happy to help you out if I can, and look forward to talking to you later. Until next Tuesday, bye-bye for now.